Starting now the Maimer Vehaya Ekev Tishmun from Shabbos, Parshas Ekev, Mevorchim, HaChodesh Elul, Tavshin Yud Aleph, 1951. The Parsha starts with Vehaya Ekev Tishmun, Eis HaMishpatim Ha'eleh, Ushmartem Vasisem Oisam. The simple meaning is, Vehaya, it will be Ekev. And like Rashi explains, if Tishmun, if you'll listen to these mitzvahs, Ushmartem Vasisem Oisam, and you will keep them and you'll do them, V'shamar Hashem Elokecha Lecha Es HaBris V'es HaChesed V'es HaShvuah, and then Hashem will keep for you the bris, the covenant, and the chesed, the kindness, and the shvuah, and the oath, Asher Nishba Lavisecha, that He promised and He swore to your forefathers. The simple meaning of this is, if you'll do the mitzvahs, if you'll keep Hashem mitzvahs, and like it says in Chassidus, that Tishmon, Ushmartem, Vasisem, as Machshava, Dibru, Maise, Shmira, we keep something in our heart, in our mind, in our thoughts. And Tishmon isn't the thought. We hear it. Ushmartem is Shmura, Varucha, Vakoil, that's when a person speaks. And Vasisem is Maise, is action. So when a person does the mitzvahs with all the thought, speech, and action, he keeps all the mitzvahs that Hashem says, I will keep the promise that I promised your forefathers, and like we say, that Ekev, the Medrash says that Scharei be'Ekev ani noisin lachem, when will Hashem give it to us in the heel, in the end of days, in the time of Mashiach that this is talking about? For keeping the mitzvahs, we get all the rewards, and specifically the reward of the coming of Mashiach, and the rewards that come in the time of Mashiach. We also have the explanation of the Tzemach Tzedek that Ekev means Ikvas and the Mashiach, in the heels of Mashiach. That is when Tishmun, when it's for sure that you listen. How do we connect all of these explanations? So the first question that the Rebbe asks over here is three questions. Why do we say Ekev Tishmun Eis HaMishpatim Ha'eleh Ushmartem Vasisem Oisam? That when you'll do the mitzvahs, or if you do the mitzvahs, which means there's a condition, it's conditional. Conditional on doing the mitzvahs, then Hashem will give you. What will He give you? The bris, the chesed, and the shvuah, which He promised your forefathers and your ancestors. What's the bris, chesed, and shvuah? A bris is a covenant. Covenant is something which is when there's two good friends and they make a covenant, meaning that no matter what happens, they'll keep connected. We know there's the bris bein habesarim that Hashem made with Avraham Avinu, and the content and the idea of it was, regardless what will happen, even though the Jewish people will be in galus, even though the Jewish people will sin, the connection between Hashem and the Jewish people is always there. And like the bris in the simple idea, brisi bivsarchem, libris oilam, that the bris which is in a Jew's flesh, which is something which is for every Jew, and like the Gemara says, nashi kimande mihili damya, women, it's also as if they are circumcised, as if they have a bris, because it's something which is in the neshama and the essence of a Jew. It's not dependent on action. To the extent that we say that in the Gemara it says that if a person makes a shvuah, if a person swears that he won't derive benefit from any people that have a bris, then he's asur. He's forbidden to derive benefit from every Jew, even those who don't have a bris, even if someone for whatever reason is not circumcised, which includes women and includes people who aren't circumcised for whatever reason it may be. And he's mutter, he's allowed to have benefit from any type of non-Jew who's not even if he is circumcised. Because a bris is not dependent on a specific action, and the specific action doesn't make it happen. It's something which is there in the essence, in the soul of a Jew, in the connection between a Jew and Hashem. There's the bris, the covenant. And this is the concept of the word bris. And like we find, for example, the idea of bris, there's bris, the bris anisuin, which is marriage. Marriage is called a bris because it's a covenant that is between the chassan and the kala. At a time when the love is the greatest, at that time there's a covenant that's made. something which is taken to beyond understanding and beyond the reason, which is why by a chasana there's the chuppah on top of the head of both of them. That surrounds, it's makif, it's above both their heads. By a chasana there's many ideas which have to do with encircling. The bride encircles the groom. The groom gives the bride a ring, which is a circle, etc., etc. Because all the ideas of a chasana it's a bris, it's a covenant. That now the love is in its greatest for a reason. But the bris means we're now at this time going to make a connection that will last forever, regardless, no matter what, even if there's reasons for the love not to be as great as it was, or even if there's a reason for the opposite of love, nevertheless the love and the connection remain. And that's the idea of the bris that Hashem made with Avraham Avinu, the bris that Hashem made with our forefathers, with our ancestors, that the bris is the covenant, the connection, that no matter what, regardless what happens, He'll always be connected to us. So how can we say something like a bris? How can we depend it on Vehaya, Ekev, if you listen? It's not something which is conditional. And the same thing is with a shvuah. A shvuah is an oath. When a person makes an oath, we know that there is a halacha, nishba'in lekayim es ha-mitzvahs. We're allowed to swear to fulfill the mitzvahs, even though we already all swore by Har Sinai. We're mushba v'oimed mehar Sinai. We already had an oath then. So seemingly it's a problem called a shvuas shav. Shvuas shav is one of the aseres adivris, which is making an oath for no reason. Swearing in vain is a very, very serious aveda. And in fact, it's something which is always has to be remembered, that as Jews, we don't swear. Whenever we can, we don't say the word swear, certainly not with Hashem's name. Regardless what language we say Hashem's name, the Alter Rebbe paskins that it's called a shvuah with Hashem's name. It's considered an oath with the name of Hashem, even if we say the name of Hashem in English, in Yiddish, in any language it may be. So certainly when a person says an oath, the word swear with the name of Hashem in whatever language it is, that's a terrible aveda. If chas v'shalom, it's false oath, it's for sure terrible. Even if it's in truth, but if it's in vain, if there's no necessity, if there's no reason for it, it's something which isn't done. To the extent that that's something that even the Goyim know, that Jews don't say the word swear, to the extent that they make special laws, even in court, that Jews don't have to use that word. Because Jews are taught, even as young children, not to use the word swear. And even if Hashem's name is not used in any language it may be, and even if it's an oath which is in vain, which is not necessary, it's something which is not allowed to be done. We don't say the word swear. Why? Because when a person says an oath, he says, I swear, he's connecting something from the essence of the soul, something deeper than just words, which words in general, one must be very careful with their words. But when using a word swear, that means I'm invoking something which is very deep and very powerful. And that's why Jews for ages, for generations, were careful not to swear even if it's in truth. Even if Bestin tells someone to swear and he'll lose a lot of money and he'll lose face by not swearing, many Jews would give it all up as long as they don't swear, even if they know it's 100% true. That's the power of an oath. And that's why we see that the Alter Rebbe brings in the beginning of Tanya, Mashbin Oisai, Ti Tzadik Valti Rasha. Before the neshama comes down into this world, it's made to swear. What's the point of an oath that you don't remember? And that's why in Chassidus it says that the word Mashbin is also from the word Soiva, satiate, that when a person makes an oath, it gives him the power, it satiates him with strength, it's revealing the essence of the soul, which gives the person the strength to be able to fulfill it, even if he doesn't remember the oath, even if he doesn't remember what he did. And yet, the halacha is that nishba in lekayim is a mitzvah. Even though seemingly it's in vain, we already made an oath that we're going to keep the mitzvahs. David HaMelech says, nishbati, v'akayema lishman mishpet tzidkecha. I swore, and I will fulfill it to keep your mitzvahs. Why would a person need to swear? Because through making an oath, it gives a person extra strength that no matter what happens, even if there's no matter what extreme circumstances come up, he'll for sure do it because a person would never go bad on an oath that he made, on swearing, and it gives the special strength and power from the neshama. Which means, and it's the same thing also with an oath of Hashem, when Hashem says, Bi nishbati, I've sworn in myself to do a specific thing. Now, even though obviously Hashem is not forced to do anything, but nevertheless Hashem will make an oath and swear because he's making, it's not forced by any outside thing, but he's forcing himself in a stronger way to fulfill what it is. That's the idea of a shvuah. That's why sometimes Hashem makes us an oath. Nishbati laviseichem. Hashem swears to the Avos. Be nishbati. Hashem swears in himself, which means regardless and no matter what happens, he won't change it. And that's especially when it's something that's for the good, that we know that when Hashem promises something for the good, he never goes back on it. So a shvuah is not conditional. A shvuah of Hashem, when Hashem swore, a bris is not conditional. A shvuah is not conditional. And the same thing is with chesed. Chesed means kindness. Kindness means to give someone even if they don't deserve it. And especially that's the difference between chesed and rachamim. Because even though gvura means strength, being stringent, and going according to the letter of the law, which means that if a person deserves it, he gets it, if not, not. Rachamim is mercy. Mercy is not just for those deserving of it, but even for those who are not deserving of it. And yet, regarding rachamim, it's both for those who are deserving and those who are not deserving, but that means that there's a difference. There are those that are deserving, there are those that are not deserving, and we're saying that in rachamim, I'm giving it even if it's someone who's undeserving. Whereas in chesed, it's kindness. It doesn't make a distinction between deserving and not deserving. There is no such a thing as deserving and not deserving of kindness. Mercy, you give even to someone who's not deserving, and because you have pity on him, you give it to him. But kindness is given, there's no distinction between deserving and not. So these three concepts, bris, chesed, and shvuah, are three concepts that seemingly are totally unconditional. They're no matter what, they're no matter which circumstance. So how can we say, Vehaya, Ekev, Tishmun? If you listen to the mitzvahs, with thought, speech, and action, you'll do what you're told, then Hashem will keep the bris, chesed, and shvuah. These are things which are seemingly unconditional. And another question is, so that's the first question is, why do we say bris, chesed, and shvuah? Why do we say that these things are conditional? Another question is, why do we say mishpatim? V'aya ekev tishman as a mishpatim ve'ila. We know that there's three types of mitzvahs. There's mitzvahs which are mishpatim. They make sense. Intellectually, they make sense. Like kibud av v'aim, honoring one's parents, not killing, not stealing, etc. There's mitzvahs that are eidos. They don't make sense intellectually. They're not something which is a logical thing. But yet there's something which is for a reason. We keep something Zeichel Yitzias Mitzrayim as a sign and as a commemoration of something that happened. So even if it doesn't make sense, but it does connect still to a reason. Then there's Chukim. Chukim are totally beyond logic. Seemingly when we're saying Vehaya Ekev Tishmun, if you listen, and Rashi explains mitzvahs sha'adam dash v'akevav, you listen to those mitzvahs that a person usually steps on with his heels, which means mitzvahs that a person is usually not careful with. Mishpatim makes sense logically. That's a mitzvah which seemingly all people will be careful with. Even eidos, there's a reason for them because they're a sign for something, a person will be careful with it. The mitzvahs that a person wouldn't be careful with is seemingly chukim, things that don't make sense logically. And yet here we say Ekev, the mitzvahs that a person usually steps on and still you're listened to, but we're using it as an example, mishpatim, those mitzvahs that make sense. And the third question that Rabbi asks is, why do we say the word Ekev? If we mean to say if, im, Say the word im. Vehaya im tishmon, if you listen. So these are the three questions that I've asked Sylvia in the beginning, and Mr. Hashem will continue next time further.